Mr. Cusick, any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Ms. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Riding?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Cusick?
Yes.
Mr. Presley?
Yes. All right, overnight field trip. Loudon High School baseball.
This is a trip that they've taken every year, minus the COVID when they canceled it, so I don't have any issue with it.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion from Ms. Harvey, second by Mr. Newman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Ms. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Riding?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Cusick?
Yes.
Mr. Presley?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
All right, moving on to budget amendments. Mr. Garrett.
Mr. Presley?
Mr. Presley. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? He looks good, doesn't he? You 6 foot? You look 6 foot.
Got some budget amendments in your packet there for 141 and 142. I'm just going over the note sheet here, so we'll start with 141. We sold some tech equipment over the last couple months. We didn't have amendments last month, so it's heavier this month. Sold some tech equipment for $17,000 that we'll be adding to revenue and expenditures to our tech budget. We got a CTE grant from Philadelphia for almost $10,000, which we will add to our CTE budget and send that to Philadelphia. Especially they got their high cost money, which they get every single year. We've added that to their budget. Cindy Purdy has in her department, Family Resource Center, received Christmas for Angel money and student clothing donations, so those are listed on your sheet. With our expenditures, we have two items there that we're pulling from fund balance. Image solution credits. These are credits from our copiers for each of our schools. That's typically taken off their bill for this year, but I found out in the end of November, that they put that in last year's budget, last year's budget year. So it went into fund balance last year. I'm requesting that we pull it back out so the schools get benefit for those credits. And then the second thing that we're taking from fund balance is HES invoice for June. This is a prior year invoice. Our custodial service had some issues with their billing. There's been some months that they've not sent the billing. We've reached out to them. They double up some months and after they skipped a month. So again, this is a prior year invoice that was budgeted last year. It wasn't spent last year. It went into fund balance. I'm just asking to bring it back out of fund balance because they did pay that invoice out of this year's budget. And then also in the expenditures, Philadelphia is making an amendment to move 4,000 from PD to their technology line, and then CTE has an amendment for the same for 4,200. And also the fund balance is listed there with the effect on fund balance. Is there any questions about 141?
Just a quick one. Does that CTE grant, is that a certain thing they got to use that on? Does that just go back to their, because I know they got several things going on down there.
Yeah, this is the same. They've received this for 3 straight years. Initially it was STEM, but I think it's just to go toward everything they're doing at the barn with the livestock, and they've got a sawmill down there now. So it's just going to benefit those programs that they've introduced over the last year. Philadelphia. 142, Carl Perkins has an amendment to increase their professional development. There's been some changes to our ARP funding for homeless. We talked about that in November. They did get additional allocation of $1,687. Preschool is making or the ARP preschool amendment. This one is my fault. I budgeted in the incorrect line, so I'm moving it to the correct line, which is educational assistants, not teachers. ELC grant, that's what we introduced also in November for our to help pay for nurses and COVID testing. They adjusted theirs based on what the state guidance has given them. So we've adjusted the personnel and the equipment there. And the Civic Seal Amendment, 2,500. They had some cancellations that with the North Middle's allocation on that, so they're just moving it around to professional development. Any questions about the 142 amendments? Thank you, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. All right. Budget amendments.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Harvey, second, Mr. Newman to approve. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Ms. Bridges? Yes. Mr. Riding?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey? Yes. Mr. Cusick?
Yes.
Mr. Presley?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to policy update. I think you just had a policy meeting. We can go ahead and approve these, you can go ahead and approve it for final reading if you're good with that.
You wanna do them individually, we can do them all together, Kevin?
You can do them all together.
I'll make a motion, we approve them.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Newman, second by Mr. Cusick. Any discussion on this? I think these are all approved by the policy committee too.
That's correct.
All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Bridges? Yes. Mr. Riding?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Cusick?
Yes.
Mr. Presley?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
All right, safe return in-person instruction plan, ESER 3.0.
You will see in your packet, the state requires us to review every 6 months our return to instruction and our ESER 3 public plan on that, because we received the ESER funding. I'm recommending no changes to the return to instruction plan. We've operated successfully for the last year and a half under this plan, and currently we're in a community surge, so to change that, I couldn't advise that. I will say we've seek public comment on that. The majority of the comment we received was they are happy with what we're doing and the plan we're doing. We had a few comments that wanted us to institute masks, which we legally can't do, and a few comments wanting us to get rid of the plan altogether and do nothing, which we legally really can't do. So, but the majority was in the middle, that they're happy with what we're doing. The ESER 3 money, we have not changed our plan for that. We'll look at the end of this year on our next 6-month review, what we spent, what we didn't spend, what we feel like we need to do that we didn't get to do, and we'll make adjustments then, and we'll get public feedback again on that. So it's my recommendation you have to approve these 2 addendums. You'll see that there's a whole lot of words there that we had to write to tell the state we're not changing anything, but essentially that's what it is. So you have to approve that, and we have to post that on our website. So I'd recommend you keep I would really like to take our cafeterias back to where kids sit beside each other, because we've got some operational issues, particularly at North, because we're having to eat in a gym and in the cafeteria, but I just can't recommend that right now. So, but that's where I'm at. I recommend everything stays the same, and if you don't mind approving those addendums for the federal government, I appreciate it.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Kenny, got a second by Cusick. Any discussion on these? Seeing none, roll call, please.
That was
Mr. Riding?
Jenkins. That was Jenkins who got the second.
Me too.
Mr. Riding?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Cusick?
Yes.
Mr. Presley?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
Ms. Bridges?
Yes.
All right, they passed. Moving on to North End bus route for Loudon High School. Mr. Gary.
Yes, you all had charged me to look at the feasibility of doing a bus route from the north end of the county to transport kids to Loudon High School. I've got our transportation director here also, if you have any questions. Basically, where we're at was when we did our survey, we had 23 students in the upcoming 8th grade class that were interested in attending Loudon High School if we provide bus transportation. After Don mapped that out, 18 of the 23 were in the county, 5 were in the city. We can't transport out of the city. So that knocked us down to 18 kids. Our break-even point, I feel like financially to do that's about 18. The issue that we're running into right now, as she got a little deeper into that, is dependent on where those students are located geographically, because we had looked at doing just a dedicated bus route from Loudon High School up to pick those kids up and bring them back. Depending on where they live, we could be pushing our maximum time limit that the state allows us, simply because it takes 20 minutes to get up there. If we try to shuttle from North Middle, we could probably pull that off in the mornings. but with start and end times, we wouldn't be able to get them back up there to shuttle them back out, so we'd have to do some type of stop in the afternoon, multiple stops in the afternoon. My biggest concern at this point is about once a week, you hear, me say, we're having to double up a bus route because we're short a driver. She reached out to our contractors. I don't know that we've got any contractors that are really interested in bidding on the route if we add it, because they can't find drivers. They've got the equipment, but they can't find drivers. And I don't wanna put something out there that we can't deliver on. You tell me to do it, we're gonna do it. I feel like those kids on that end need that opportunity. I just don't know, in this pandemic, in this work environment, where we're having trouble running buses already, that adding another route is advantageous to us. Don, would you like to add anything?
I would agree with that. We're struggling right now, but, had some people retire. We've got some people that are going to leave after this school year. But there's a few different things we could look at. First of all, those parents in the afternoon would need to understand that their kids would get home a little later. At the minimum, the 20 minutes or so that it would take to transport them from Loudon High School back to where they normally start now, before they're dispersed. We could probably do some shuttling. In the morning, it would be definitely easier. Thinking that all the kids could ride in on their regular bus, maybe make North like a holdover point, and then get a shuttle bus to take them from North down to Loudon High School in the morning. I think we could still be okay on the time there. But the afternoon, there's just no way to leave Loudon High School at 3:20 and be able to get back to North for them to get on their other buses. That would be too much time. We could look at a designated route for that, like Director Guerin said. If the logistics are okay, as far as where the kids ride, and we would be in our time limit. Or maybe another possibility would be different hubs, like different bus stops, maybe not door-to-door service, but say 5 or 6, whatever stops in the afternoon, and then we would make those stops, and then that would allow us to be okay with our time in transit as well. So we would have a few different options if the board wanted to do that. It's just that, like everybody else, we're just in a bind with drivers right now.
Thank you.
If we were to do something like that, what additional cost are we gonna be looking at as far as?
$50,000.
Is that already added into what you had proposed, or?
No, sir.
So it'd be an additional
Yeah,
on
because
top
you
of
all
what
hadn't
you?
approved it, so I didn't want to presume and put it in the budget.
I think what we need to do is probably hold off on this right now and reevaluate it this next year. Cause everybody's having trouble getting bus drivers as it is now, everywhere.
Typically with our bus routes, when the driver's out, the owner, the contractor will fill in and drive for that. At this point, the owners are driving every day. So when somebody's out, somebody's out.
Is everybody good with that? Holding off, let him look at it? Okay. All right, hey, thank you, Don. Thank you, Mr. Guerin. All right, big dog, it's your turn again.
Okay, first I want to appreciate the school board. I hope you know how much I do appreciate you. And January the 23rd to the 29th is School Board Appreciation Week. So you'll probably see our schools doing some things in your honor. But I want you to know, from me, I truly appreciate what you all do. This is a hard job. And having 10 bosses that are working together in unison makes part of my job much easier, and I appreciate that. To show our appreciation in conjunction with Loudon High School, when Lenore City High School comes down to Loudon High School to play basketball on February the 11th, our culinary arts department is going to fix dinner for the board, halftime of the girls' game, and then we're going to recognize you between the girls' game and boys' game. And Kayla will send you that information, but I wanted to make you aware of that so you can put that on your calendar if you're interested in coming. We did that a couple years ago with Greenback, and we're going to try that with Lenore City this year. But again, I appreciate what you're doing. We have, I see Kathy Probst back there, we have 1,053 students enrolled in Launch after-school program at all 9 schools. So that's a great program that's going very well. I've already talked about the state is looking at a new funding formula, and they have public comment open till noon on Tuesday. So if you want to give the feedback to the state, then that would be appreciated.
Did you say they was gonna try to push that through this year, or?
Yes, sir. They're planning to change the formula this year.
So
but
we don't
what-
have an idea what we're gonna get for,
Well, what they're saying is they're gonna change the formula, but they're gonna base our funding for next year so we can budget off of what it is now. So that new formula that they decide now will go into effect the following year. So we'll still have a year to prepare for it.
well, boy.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I have Tony Lowry, will you stand up? Our safety consultant, Chad Presley, where do you go? Stand up. And Matthew Tinker, would you stand up? These 3 guys fought the good fight, and through multiple appeals with FEMA, we have, we were denied our initial reimbursement request from when we bought the air purifiers a year and a half ago. We have now been approved, thanks to these gentlemen. And the federal government will send us $154,000 back. So that will go back into the county coffers where we pulled it from. So I wanted them to come out so we could recognize them, because it's not easy to coordinate everything with FEMA and go through all of those different stages. So we try every which way we can to save the county money, and that's one aspect we've done, so I appreciate that. The next thing is, it is that time of year and you're gonna hear this before the teachers, so don't tell them. But Teacher of the Year, I'm just gonna go real quickly through. Our elementary Teacher of the Year candidates from Eaton, Catherine Hoffman; Highland Park, Jenna Gagley; Loudon Elementary, Molly Bollinger; Philadelphia, Alice Parrott; and Steaky was Vanessa Willis. The Loudon County Teacher of the Year for elementary will be Miss Alice Parrott from Philadelphia, and I will take her a cookie cake tomorrow on your behalf. And let her know if she doesn't watch TV tonight to see that she won. Fifth, the middle school Teachers of the Year, Fort Loudon Middle was Lisa Michaels; North Middle, Cassie Kyle; Philadelphia, Joe Eccles; and Steaky was Tiffany Ratledge. And the middle school Loudon County Teacher of the Year is Miss Lisa Michaels from Fort Loudon Middle. High school Teacher of the Year from Greenback, Katie Edwards; and from Loudon High School was Taylor Peters. The winner for the high school was Taylor Peters from Loudon High School. Then we also do a new Teacher of the Year. Our new Teacher of the Year candidates was Daphne McCall from Eaton, Nicole Webb from Fort Loudon Middle, Jessica Ruckerson from Greenback, Sydney Cobb from Highland Park, Ivy Giles from Loudon Elementary, Kylie Hawkins from Loudon High School, Quinna Hatfield from North Middle, Carly Snyder from Philadelphia. And the winners for elementary were Nicole Webb from Fort Loudon Middle, Kylie Hawkins from Loudon High School, and Carly Snyder from Philadelphia Elementary. So I'd like to know they're not here because I didn't tell them because they don't know. But I just got that information this afternoon, so I'll be surprised with the cookie cake tomorrow that they can take home and eat over the weekend. Also, I feel like some people are just born for things, I don't know what I've been born for yet, but I know that Scott McIntosh was born to be the principal at Loudon High School. Scott McIntosh is the Loudon County Principal of the Year. He doesn't know that. So I made him come. And then Supervisor of the Year for Loudon County, Mr. Matthew Tinker. All of these candidates will submit information to the state, and then we'll see how they proceed through the district and region. But I'm really proud of the folks we have and what they do. So I believe, Mr. Chairman, that is all I have.
That's all. Hey, congratulations. Hey, we're blessed with great people, I tell you. We got some awesome ones. Chad, you need to fix your hair like Tinker, them over here, so you might step up. New guy, take notes, maybe next year for you. Hey, we appreciate you guys.
He hasn't announced the business manager of the year yet.
Go down to the barber shop at Ham's. They're talking about that.
Got my fingers crossed for that.
All right, thank you, guys. Hey, any other business deemed necessary by the board or director?
What about the podium?
Oh, thank you, Pat. Hey, Scotty, turn that thing around. You don't care. The Greenback CTE carpentry class built this podium for the county. You can see the front now, the insignia, and they did a wonderful job. So that is our kids in action providing service to the county. Thank you, Miss Hunter. I knew I'd forget something.
And it's short guy friendly.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah, they did a great
Really
job.
good job.
So did they burn that, it's burned on there?
Yes.
How the heck did they?
Laser.
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 That's beautiful.
Seeing none, got a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Good job, Bobby.
This is my afternoon snack.
The Halloween candy and everything from.
Yeah,
Hey, you wanna take that?
Yeah. This is my afternoon snack.